Cost of cigarettes in half, outlaws helmets, and adjusts the CDC's recommended amount of sleep from 8 hours a night to when you're dead. The bill's short-term initiatives aim to immediately cut Social Security costs in half by replacing senior citizens' monthly checks with vouchers for grain, alcohol, and extreme sports.
I got this coupon to motocross over a canyon. Better do my part to help the deficit.
Supporters in Congress say that cost will be offset by the so-called pussy tax on products such as sweaters, vegetables, hand soap, and flu shots.
America, would you rather die old, broke, and forgotten, or die a mother-f***ing legend?
The new program follows in the footsteps of the Life is a Cartoon Medicare campaign, which encourages seniors to run full speed off of cliffs and smoke sticks of dynamite.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid! No fear, and declare your independence of me, Ernest Hancock, and very special guest. Let's push the button. I have John Bush and Catherine Bleish and Baby, what's your baby's name? Let's start right off.
Her name is Aliana Elizabeth.
Aliana going to be an activist, or you like actors and say, my kid will never act?
Well, we're going to let her pretty much do whatever she wants to do and encourage her and give her everything we can to let her live her dreams. So hopefully her dream is freedom and she shares the same dream as her parents, but if not, that's okay.
You know, this is, oh, we see baby cute. Wow, that's not a baby anymore. That's, you must have had your baby like this past summer?
She's huge. She's wearing size 6-month clothes, and she's only 3.5 months old.
Oh, my goodness. She must have not got vaccinated or something.
No, she did not.
You know, this is one thing that I think is really interesting. I want to start off with this. You know, whenever we have the idea that, you know, it's a terrible world with a lot of problems, and, you know, why are you bringing children into the, you know, yada, yada, yada. And I'm always thinking, well, heck, that's why you bring in the children, to fix it. You know, it's the whole motivation, certainly for freedom lovers, is, you know, we need more freedom lovers. And so I'm looking at this child coming in with the pedigree of John Bush and Catherine Bleish having the experience that they have. And I'm wondering, all of the decisions that you make in raising physically, actually, practically, a representative of Generation Next in your little hands, you know, right there, you're holding this little baby, and here it comes, and everything that you know, everything you've experienced, everything, and there's also a lot of dead ends in your activities. You go, yeah, you probably shouldn't waste time on that, and better times better served over here, and all that. Let's go ahead and talk about that. How are you going to raise this child? What are the core, most important? Is it learning the Pledge of Allegiance and saluting presidents and stuff? I mean, you know, what is it that you want to make sure that this Generation Next knows from your personal experiences?
Well, first, we're dedicated to raising her 100% natural, no vaccines, no GMOs, no high fructose corn syrup. We're doing all sorts of homeopathic and naturopathic remedies and stuff like that if she gets sick. And Mama's got into really good health in the past year, Daddy too. And, of course, we're breastfeeding 100%, so all the good immune system and vitamin C and vitamins and health stuff that Mama's doing is getting passed on to baby.
Well, and to backtrack a little bit, it started with before we brought her into the world. You know, we decided the way she would be born was going to be really important to us. And so we studied really hard to make sure we were doing it right, and we chose to go with a midwife. We chose to give birth at home, and a lot of people are scared about that. They say, what if there's a complication? And, you know, we did have a little complication. She was born with her hand straight up on top of her head, and our midwife was supposed to deal with that, and it was not fun for me. It hurt, but, you know, we made it, and she was born at home with, you know, without doctors poking and prodding and trying to pressure me to have a C-section, and that, I think, is the foundation that we provided her with from the get-go, and I hope that that really shapes her for the rest of her life.
You know, my producer, Gwen, she's left now since she had a baby premature, gosh, like 2 months. How many weeks was Gwen at? She's at 27 weeks. And what's a full gestation, 40 or something?
42 is what our midwife says.
27 weeks. And I tell you, that baby was 1-point-something pounds. It was a little bitty baby. And it was... when she started, she was training as a midwife, you know, for over a year. She was doing exactly what you're talking about. And what happened was, after she had the child, and it was a full-time job for her. She was there at least 8 hours almost every single day. She breastfed. They put it in the tube in the baby's stomach, her breast milk. They insisted on the breast milk, no shots, no nothing, none. And she made so much breast milk that she went on Craigslist to find out anybody needed it. And she has a woman that was having problems with the breastfeeding. Boom. Now she's feeding probably at least 1 to 3 other children. And, and this baby is and Craigslist. You know, who wants? I want it. You know, done. So she'd freeze it, or so I didn't even know you could freeze breast milk. But so she's freezing the breast milk, and she builds up a big giant dose of it, and boom, there it goes off to save some other babies. She just brought the child home right after Christmas, the day after Christmas, and now it's right about now is when the baby was due, and the kid looks great.
Right.
I mean, everything, it's healthy, it's perfectly fine. It can cry up a storm when it wants to. It's usually pretty mellow. She carries it in a wrap that kind of like, you know, up against her chest all the time. So the kid is perfect. And I'm going, that is a testament to making a decision early on that you're not going to, one that is more susceptible than anybody else to all the evils of, you know, our atmosphere and everybody wanting to poke and prod and so on. All of a sudden, they come in this early and did breast milk, and all of a sudden, a couple of months later, perfectly fine. And I'm just, you know, and all this technological solutions and diet, and we got some kind of chemical and, you know, government needles with metals and molecules and potions and lotions, and I'm going, no. And you guys made that decision. I think that the generation next that's going to come up of the minds that are not only freed, but in a healthy state to even understand it and advocate for it and rationally, you know, process it. And all this, I want to talk about not just the physical environment of your child, but, you know, the emotional and what you're looking to instill in it and keep it away from. I mean, tell me everything, go.
Well, I think Stefan Molyneux, you know, he's got a lot of stuff about philosophical parenting and raising Liberty babies. And one of the things that's really profound to me is the idea that if we raise this next generation to think that the idea of organizing society through coercive violence and through armed men with badges forcing people to do things against their will, we raise them to believe that that kind of thing is absolutely silly and comical and archaic, and soon enough we'll have a whole generation of people that don't buy into the illegitimacy of their authority. And you contrast that with what's happening with children that are being put into public schools. As you said, they stand every morning, raise, you know, put their hand on their heart and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, whatever the heck that means. And then they're indoctrinated. They got DARE programs. There's school police. And they're basically just made to think that the state is their parents, which is the ultimate goal of the state, to eliminate parents altogether and have the children raised by the state entirely. But I think if more activists and more people that already have a liberty mindset start having children, which is really starting to pop up all over the country. There's a lot of people our age that are having babies.
Amber JNL is due any minute, so Amber, we're sending you love. Good luck.
So if we just raise a whole new generation, again, to think that it's absolutely silly that, a badge gives someone moral authority to harm and abuse someone, then I think it's definitely going to do well to further the cause of a free society, and that's what we hope to instill in Aliana from the get-go. And we're doing our best to keep her away from those authority figures right now before she's too young to understand it, but she'll definitely be made to question it and rest out of rather than just boxing.
This is great. I'm really looking forward to a lot of questions here. And in the break, I got a couple of questions for you. See some things we're going to talk about. I see Donna put up here a graphic to the Venus Project. And I'm wondering why she did that. I'll ask you about that and what kind of projects you're working on there in Texas. They're living off the grid as much as they can in a gross lifestyle. Something we want to do? We'll talk about it.
This is Charles Goyette, author of the New York Times bestseller, The $1 Meltdown, so you can learn how to protect yourself and your family. Now, you can audit the Fed. You can end the Fed. But why not start by ignoring the Fed? Visit don'ttreadonmeme.com. That's Don't Tread on M-E-M-E, fashioning the silver economy. A meme, a contagious idea that spreads within a culture, a spontaneous order. Nowhere is this more evident than in one's free choice in that most marketable of commodities, money. Let us Austrians use wallet voting. Don't Tread on Meme, the leading craftsman of silver dime trading cards, as well as some offbeat Liberty-themed apparel. Follow the history of the dime card outreach at onceuponadime.info and get a silver calculator app at whatisthiscoinworth.info. Boycott an empire of theft. Build a society of consent. Don't tread on meme.
When commercials come on, don't push the button. Instead, listen. Even if you don't sell things for a living, you're still selling in the various...
Hey guys, Donna had the Venus Project up there. Is that something you wanted up there?
Us?
Yeah.
No, not in particular.
Yeah, I'm not real super familiar with whatever. I know it's...
Well, in the third video, they do a whole part about the development of an infant, and that part's pretty interesting. We're not necessarily fans of the solution, but in their third video, the most recent video, they do a great job talking about raising children and,
Okay, well, we'll talk about that, because I know the Venus Project's kind of zeitgeist stuff or something, taking that over kind of deal.
Yeah, they want robots to grow all our food and deliver it to us.
Yeah, they're all about the will just happen. Well, how's this going to? What's the incentive? Will just happen? And I'm like, man, where you guys been? The what was the other thing? There was Procter and Gamble. There's a guy named Foster Gamble that we're going to have on next month, and he did a video. It was, it kind of starts off with, the Taurus and alien technology and kind of whatever and so on, but eventually towards the end you get all this Stephen Greer kind of stuff in it, and then all of a sudden Disclosure Project, UFO, technology, humanity marches on kind of thing, and towards the end it goes, boom, Austrian economics. And
you're talking about the Thrive movement.
Right. What do you know about that?
We watched the documentary. We have one of our good friends here in Central Texas is way into it, but I was blown away by the documentary. I call it the libertarian version of the Zeitgeist movies.
Right. And we have been in contact with Foster Gamble, the Procter and Gamble family, and he is encouraged. He wants to come on the show and everything. We're just trying to schedule it out probably next month. But I was like, wow, this was, we'll talk about why you got the Venus thing up there, and then tell me about the Thrive and your friend and how that interfaces all the stuff that you're doing. We'll do that. I think that'll be interesting.
Cool.
Sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
You can interact with other LRN listeners in our message board at forum.lrn.fm. That's forum.lrn.fm.
To be a part of the show, call 602-264-2800. 602-264-2800. And now, Ernest Hancock.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time to stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Yeah, we're all just pausing, taking a look, and finding out what's really important. Now, keep in mind, John Bush and Catherine Bleish have been on the front lines. Individuals came, they got the Chinese curse. They came to the attention of important people, you know what I mean? So this is not, like theoretical for a lot of us. Activists have been on the front lines. We felt the big brother breathing down our neck. And, heck, they've been tonguing our ear, So we're just like, look, man, we just want to be left alone. We'll go and we'll get this generational thing. We'll just raise some youngins and grand youngins and come whip your ass, on a regular basis. Now, what I was asking off in the break is that Donna had on there a graphic to the Venus Project. Now, I know the Zeitgeist original movie. I tracked this down, interviewed a lot of people. I wanted to see what was going on. The guy that originally did the Zeitgeist movie, it was a very powerful movie that kind of like, beware the psychological impact of the military-industrial, they're going to kick our butt and we need to, free our mind kind of thing. And there's a thing called the Venus Project, which is, it's a left, robots are going to take care of us and things will be made because we want them. I mean, it's just, you try and talk to them about economics and incentives and free market and all that kind of, they just, they don't think that deep. But the Venus Project kind of wrapped their arms and legs around the first Zeitgeist movie. Then they did Zeitgeist Addendum and a bunch of other stuff to try and incorporate the popularity of that movie into the Venus Project that has, some nice things and good stuff to go in there. I'm asking them about that. She'll talk about why she embraced some portions of their project, what they're doing. But it reminded me, there's a gentleman we're going to have on next month. His name is Foster Gamble, Procter & Gamble. He's a, wealthy family. He wants to do, right by the people, and it's kind of from the left, and it's about, alien technology and the future, and non-disclosure project gets a lot in there about, all this technology that's being held from us and all this other stuff. And then it starts to segue into this, just Austrian free market economic Ron Paul kind of thing without even, saying it or delivering. It's the non-aggression principle and all this. And it blindsided me. It shocked me. And I'm going, whoa, what the heck did I just see? I'm like, seriously? So we contacted them, and they are very excited about coming on the show and giving us what for. But John knows some of the guys involved in that thing in Texas. So giving you that kind of, in the break, get you up to speed on what we're talking about here. Let's start with that. Catherine, tell me, what was it that you were embracing about the Venus Project that you found, interesting?
Well, the Venus Project, I'm not a fan of their solutions, but I definitely agree with a lot of their views on the problem. And in their most recent Zeitgeist movie, it's broken into 3 sections. And the first section is all about raising children and what happens in the womb and what happens after children are born and how society influences them. And I thought that was really profound. We watched it before we found out we were pregnant. And after we found out we were pregnant, we were kind of scared at first. And we realized that our whole lives, we had been indoctrinated to think that having children and giving birth is a scary thing. When you go through public school, you're taught, don't have sex, sex results in STDs, look at all these horrible things that will happen to your body if you have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex. And then you finally end up pregnant, and you've never known, you've never been taught what to do or what that's all about, what happens to your body. And so I really, really appreciate what the Venus Project has to say about pregnancy, about raising children, and about how society really does influence our little tiny creatures that we bring into the world on such a profound level. It's up to us as the parents to really make sure that we're providing an environment that's conducive to creativity and to flourishing and to allowing these children to understand life from a nonviolent point of view, which we're all indoctrinated with, violence and aggression from a very young age. I remember, when we've been at war since I was a kid, at least. I remember in grade school, I don't know about you, John, but I remember, thinking Saddam Hussein when I was in second grade, and that's just been a part of our lives. And I think it's important that we are teaching our children about food and about nature and about how we fit into this world naturally and biologically, and it makes a lot more to raise a child.
One thing you do for me, Catherine, I'm hearing John a lot better. You're cutting in and out. Wherever his mouth is on whatever he's doing, do the same thing, because you're cutting out a lot. Now, the one thing that we did, Donna and I, when we raised our children, as we're doing this, and they're growing up, and we're in politics and all this kind of stuff, and they come out on the campaign trail, and we were giving speeches and stuff, they ask the same questions that I'm asking you. How are you raising your children? Is that what, are you telling your children that? I mean, that kind of thing. And we're like, you don't have to worry about me. You're so worried about me. It's not me that you got to worry about. It's our children. You're raising an entire generation to come whip your ass, okay? And it's not in a way that they fear. They're always worried about some frontal assault, that there's going to be, this wave of people that are going to go and start banging on their door and pitchforks and torches. And I go, let me tell you how they're going to beat you. They're going to ignore you. They're going out on their own. They don't need to confront you. They don't got to beat you. They just got to survive you. You're going to die on your own, because your system does not work. Now, John, I wanted to ask you about the it's called the Thrive Movement. Is that what it was called? I can't remember.
Yeah, there's a website, the Thrive Movement, the DVD that they put out that's kind of like the libertarian version of the Zeitgeist DVD is called Thrive. It's great.
When I watched it, it was a bootleg copy of the DVD that was online, and we posted it, and it was really popular. Hello, there she is. Say hello.
Say hi to Ernie. Can you say hi? That's Ernie Hancock, the old libertarian.
Yeah, the old libertarian. The one thing we were talking about, well, the baby might fuss. I'm going, we might have to poke it to get it to say something. Yes, don't do that. So what happened was, as I'm watching this movie, it was online, and I sent a copy. We put it on the site and told him that I watched the entire thing. It's like 2 hours. And he goes, well, I really wish you wouldn't put that up there because it was bootleg. Somebody took it, so he's got this IP, intellectual property thing going on, so we got to cure him of that. But so I guess I got to go buy the movie now, and that's one thing that they're hoping to do is create a movement. So this Thrive Movement, what do you know about it? You say you know a gentleman there. Tell me about it.
Well, yeah, the documentary is great. I think it really does a lot to zero in on the monopoly power that the state has, and it overviews a variety of different topics, from suppressed technology to the monopoly over money and the Federal Reserve, all sorts of stuff. Then the solutions that it brings, I think that's nothing.
Yeah, we're starting to cut out. We're probably going to reconnect when we come back, see if we can get a better connection. So maybe it wasn't Catherine, it was the phone line. We'll be right back here on Declare Your Independence with Catherine Bleish and John Bush in just a little bit. I want to find out more about this Thrive Movement. Just do a Google search on Thrive Movement, and you'll see it.
If you want to move to...
Okay, how can you guys hear me? Are you on a cell phone?
Yeah, I could hear you all the way the whole time, so I don't know if the connection is cutting out.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of that kind of crap, So, how many bars are you showing?
Full bars. We're going to move to the other room. We were sitting in a different room that we don't usually use the phone in. Hopefully this will be better. This should be better.
All right, we'll go ahead and try that. Yeah, when we come back, I'll go ahead and find that article that I did before, Donna, and go ahead and see if you can find another pirated copy of the movie or something online on Google or YouTube. It's Thrive Movement, whatever. It'll come up. Because, yeah, I sat down and watched that whole thing, and I was surprised. It kept me interested, and I could see what they were doing. They were sucking in the mystics, you know, and the crystal people until they, you know, got in the end, and they go, oh, yeah, Austrian economics. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about that a little bit. And then we have 2 more segments, and I want to make sure we get into your life. You know, I wake up in the morning, I go do this, we take care of that, you know, the life you're leading. Because I loved your guys' articles. I thought they were awesome, and I'm going to be talking about that, too.
Cool.
All right.
Cover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Badavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Do you want to take back control of your own money? Then take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the world's first decentralized, anonymous internet currency, and it's gaining popularity every day. It's free to use, free to accept, and free from inflation forever. You can use Bitcoins anywhere in the world. To learn more, visit weusecoins.org. Your dollars are going down. Learn more about Bitcoins at weusecoins.org. That's weusecoins.org.
Instead of just listening, you can also watch. See the Liberty Radio Network's key New Hampshire-based live shows via our studio cam at cam.lrn.fm. Plus, you'll still be able to listen to the Liberty Radio Network via the cam feed in high quality 24/7, even when there's no live show being produced in our Keene studio. But wait, there's more. Our chat room is built into the cam page so you can interact with other listeners online. Listen, watch, and chat, all free at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over halfway to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is also the undisputed liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
It just ain't the same, always in change. New days are strange, is the world insane? If love and peace is so strong, why are the pieces of love that don't belong? Nations dropping bombs, chemical gases filling lungs of little ones with ongoing suffering as the youth are young. So ask yourself, is the loving really gone? So I can ask myself, really what is going wrong in this world that we living in? People keep on giving in, making wrong decisions, only visions of them dividends, not respecting each other. Can I die, brother? A war's going on, but the reason's undercover. The truth is kept secret, it's swept under the rug. If you never know truth, then you never know love. What's the love, y'all? Come on, I don't know. What's the truth, y'all? Come on, I don't know. What's the love, y'all?
It's right here on Declare Your Independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, John Bush, Catherine Bleish, very, 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 very special guests, good friends that, you know, you want to know where the love is. Everybody's like, you know, how are we going to, this is the same question that we've been asking, you know, heck, our parents are, everybody's at, what the heck? And how do you fix it? Well, a lot of times, Catherine pointed out that on the left, you know, the better writers are very astute at describing what the problem is. And they'll give and detail it as well as we do. But then the solution is we need a better government program, more people behind the dials and the wheels of power and wearing the ring and the levers and all. And if we did it if we controlled people the way we wanted them to be controlled and did it right and educated them on that, blah, 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 it goes on and on and on. And it just stacks on top of the problem, and they're supported by the people that are originally behind the problem under another name to keep us in the mindset that government somehow is a solution to it, and never just the idea, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. The whole purpose of government, that's why this show is Declare Your Independence, is the whole way to determine whether government is good or bad, was just, it's there to make sure I'm left alone. That was it. Just leave me alone. It's all good. And I'm punished if I'm aggressing against someone else. I'm a big, powerful bully doing whatever. The only purpose for government was to, smack down the bullies, and what happens? Sooner or later, with this mindset of, somehow government's got to do something, they become the bully. And John Bush and Catherine Bleish know this firsthand. And then they go to Texas. They're raising a family, and they're trying to just live a free life and inspire many others. Who better? I mean, this has been, I've seen their speeches on YouTube, their advocacy for what they're doing and how they're living their life. So I want to get to that. Let's start off with you, John. I mean, you go to Texas and you made a decision to what? What is your day? I get up, give me a week's kind of, general how you're living your life.
Yeah, well, actually, I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. There's very few of us, but I've lived here my whole life, and really just in the past couple of years, I've really started to buckle down. I've been a libertarian for about 3 or 4 years, but really started into anarchist principles and agorism in the past couple. And Catherine and I just recently found a really great place here on the outskirts of town, outside of the city limits, on 2.5 acres. And we got chickens, we got some vegetables going, we got a lot of privacy. We have like 30 chickens. We're about to slaughter 6 of them, and we get a lot of eggs a day. So, my day usually starts with waking up right before I have to go to work. And Kat usually tends to the farm and the chickens, and we have a wonderful roommate that lives with us, Stephen Shefdahl. He's a really stand-up guy. He's like family. But, one thing that we've really been doing in our daily lives to live more free and to create a more free society, to work on building the counter economy, to counter the statist economy, is we've been trading in silver a whole lot, and we've been doing a lot of barter. So at the bookstore I work at, Brave New Books, big libertarian, anarcho, conspiracy theory bookstore, bravenewbookstore.com is the website. We accept everything in silver, and we also sell silver as well. We also just carrying bulk food too, but we buy our coffee from there, tea, waters, all sorts of stuff with silver. Additionally, I managed to find a buddy of mine from high school that I used to party with. We were driving down the road, started seeing signs for farmers markets, so we decided to pull in, and, come to find out it's this dude that I knew 6 years ago, and he's been trying to look me up. We instantly hit it off, and since then I've been doing marketing and promotion and making videos and hitting those guys up, putting them on the pirate radio station down here in Austin to advertise their farmers market, and they've been supplying us with fresh veggies and these great frozen meals that they make just with a straight-up barter. So that instantly reduced our grocery bill by leaps and bounds. And one thing that I talked about in your the latest zine from Freedom's Phoenix is the idea that, obviously libertarians, people in the freedom movement, we all agree to end the Fed. It's leading to war, inflation, it's robbing our values, so on and so forth. Yet everybody, they have an End the Fed shirt, or they go to a Ron Paul rally and wave an End the Fed sign, and then they go to the concession stand and buy a soda with 3 Federal Reserve notes. People fail to recognize that we're at the same time empowering the Federal Reserve by using the Federal Reserve note. We're actually giving it value and giving it a reason to exist here at home. So that's something we've been trying to adapt into our daily lives, the idea of consistency. If you want to end the Fed, then stop using the Federal Reserve note and start building the alternatives now.
Dime cards.
Like the dime cards, for sure. It's great to see here in Austin those alternatives are being built, and they're being built at a very rapid exponential rate, and I can't wait to see what it's going to be like in 5 to 10 years.
We have a lot of projects that we're working on this diet. It's just so many things are coming together, and we're kind of holding off a little bit. Rarely I do that. Usually, as things are going, I explain it step by step on the show and kind of, be inspirational. It gives me something to talk about. But the guy's like, no, we're doing a viral video. We're doing this. We're buying that. You got to hold off, Ernie. You're not allowed. And I'm like, I hate that. But there's so much stuff going on, and we certainly want to participate around the country with this, and there's a bunch of goodies. I'll tell you this is one thing I want to do. I'm going to tell the guys this because I can. The one thing that we're working on now is what do we call the dime cards? Because one of the activists, Alma Summer, you may remember her, she was saying, Ernie, can't we just start using 10th ounces? Because it's it's easy math. If spot price of silver is, $30.15, then, I just move the decimal point and I know it's, 301. It's just, that's how much it's worth. You do dime cards. I do the 10th ounce. So I'm going, yeah, well, dimes are, it's a tenth of a dollar, which is 0.77 ounces. It's a long story. But the reason that we do that is because it's U.S. currency. It's easy for them to see the inflation that's happened from a dime to $3. So this is, it's easy for us to use that as an outreach. Plus, it has, cool graphics on it, information on the back, a QR code that takes you to different things. So it's a really good marketing thing. But how do we determine what the value of it is? So I'm going, I tell you what, we'll call it something. And we're shining them up, making them all shiny and everything. We're all Firefly fans. So we're calling them, that'll cost you 1, 2, 3, 4 shinies. That's 1 shiny, 3 shiny. Give me a shiny. And we put Firefly images on there, like, oh, heck, I can't remember. Jane's standing up there, the gun in the movie, and he goes, shiny, let's be bad guys. So I'm going to definitely have that one. So we're doing a bunch of these, and we're calling them, the denominations are shinies. So we're going, how much in but what we do is shiny is equal to 1/10 of an ounce of silver, because that's the premium we'll put in on the card and so on. We have a site called libertytrade.net where we're converting everything into silver, grams of gold. That's one of the attributes of this particular site, is it's like Craigslist, except that you're able to determine what denominations of what currencies you're willing to accept, including any and everything. AOCS silver, ounces of silver, Chinese, bullion, grams of whatever, anything. Service, anything you want to take. So we're doing that. We're building the infrastructure right now. And because Alma had the idea that it would be easier to determine what the value is of these cards, and she just wanted to be able to move the decimal point one. Because even when you get 10th ounces of silver, there's an enormous premium on those. They're really not a 10th ounce of silver. It's like they got premium, like AOCS was charge 80-something cents a 10th ounce just to make that. I'm like, wow. So what they're doing in Austin with Catherine and John and the way that they're living, and so we're all over it. We're trying to create a mechanism by which we can trade with each other, that we have the abilities that we use on the internet, that we're able, and even when they go to controlling the internet, that's all right. We're getting our own satellites. We are not going to be denied a free life.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
It's the Onion Radio News. Starbucks begins its sinister...
Catherine, when we come back, I'll go to you, and you can give me your day today.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, it's sounding better. The store, tell me about it. Who owns that? How's that participation in the movement?
It's owned by this guy named Harlan Dietrich. He opened it back in '06, and it started off more as a conspiracy theory thing, but after the Ron Paul campaign really got some libertarian roots, and now it's like full-blown agorist, anarchist, and we sell a lot of survival stuff and health products, and Catherine and I actually made partial owners in the bookstore, so it's great. It's kind of like our local little Freedom's Phoenix workshop. It's where the Ron Paul grassroots meets. A lot of activist groups have meetings there. We do screenings, lectures, and all sorts of stuff. It's our little activist center. It's really an asset to our community down here.
Okay, go ahead. Would you describe that when we get to you, Catherine? You can talk about that a little bit. I want to make sure people just know that there's a place there that they can go and do whatever. But it's how large is it?
Pretty big. It's probably like, what,
10,000 square feet? 5,000 square feet?
Really? So they do enough volume to keep them self-sustaining?
Well, that's why he brought us on, to help make it profitable, but he hasn't really made much of a profit, but it has stayed open since '06.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we do a retail outlet like that, I mean, that's, it's always a possibility. I mean, there's a demand for a lot of this stuff. Phoenix is, it's got it going on for something like that, but then that's like a job, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'd be able to find some of the activists there to man the place for a nice little wage, because it's a really cool job. And a lot of the health products and the survival gear is really our best sellers, our bread and butter. The books are kind of declining, but a lot of people buying food and all sorts of health shakes and stuff like that. So it's definitely a 1-2 punch. But no, it hasn't been profitable the whole time. He's actually been, really upset, and he's been dedicating, the past 5 years to making $0 to keep this place open because it's such an asset. But hopefully we can turn that around, because me and Kat got some nice little business savvy that he hasn't really been tapping into, and we got all sorts of plans. Like, we're going to be doing a flea market. Maybe Kat can talk about that. We're going to do it every single month. It's called Brave New Bazaar, and there's going to be tables and booths.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and go with that. I want to get some home life with Catherine a little bit, raising Generation Next here, but you only got 8 minutes, so you got to whip right through it, okay, Catherine?
Okay.
Need custom stickers, labels, or decals for your organization or business? Liberty Stickers makes them. Visit LibertyStickers.com to order or call 877-873-9606. LibertyStickers.com, the world's most dangerous stickers. You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Yeah, a little more bite and a little less bark. That's what's happening with, around the country. And there's a lot of people that are considered, I don't know, what's a leader? Is it a shiny badge that you got or something? No, a leader is, someone that inspires people to, follow a philosophy, to do something a little more, action, please. Well, Catherine Bleish is doing really, really inspirational work with the raising of her child and participation in agri societies and how they're eating and how they're living, how they've changed their lifestyle. And I want to get from Catherine, kind of walk us through that. And then, John's off at the bookstore doing that. And, it's, to hear you guys talk, it's becoming like this big, voluntarist center of activity that sells a bunch of other stuff. I'm going, maybe we can do that here. Go ahead and tell us how your day goes, Catherine.
Yeah, sure. My day it's a lot of work raising a kid. I didn't realize how much energy and time it would take, but it's
constant.
Amazing. It's an absolute blessing. She's breastfed, so right now, I have to feed her probably about 9 times a day. And she co-sleeps with us in our bed. We have a family bed. So I don't have to get out of bed in the middle of the night to feed her. She doesn't wake us up. I just roll over and feed her. And it's awesome because we all get a full night's sleep every night. Last night was actually one of the rare nights where she just randomly woke up crying. We couldn't figure out why. But, we get good sleep every night. she comes out and helps me in the yard. We water the garden. Right now we have our winter garden planted. We've got onions, lettuce, and carrots in the ground. So she comes out and helps me water that and take care of the chickens. And she just really, I believe, gets a nice day-to-day where she gets to see where mom's food is coming from and how I'm feeding her. I also try to make her environment a learning environment, so I've been labeling everything in the house, whether it's door or oven, and so she can start associating the written language with physical objects in her house. And so her environment is becoming her classroom. We also try to play music with her. John has a keyboard, and so, you know, he'll spend some time playing music for her and with her, and she sits in his lap. And we're really just trying to make her life a learning experience so that, you know, we don't have to ship her off to school, and we can really provide her with an education from the beginning. So she
oh, my God, what if everybody did that?
It would be absolutely awesome. Our society would be really cool, I think. She's also there, you know, I make products that we sell at vendor booths and that we sell at the bookstore. So, you know, I'm also finishing my master's degree. I'm in my last semester right now. So I do write papers and things like that. But I also make jewelry. I, you know, work on making what we call hemp wick lighters, where you wrap hemp wick around a lighter so that people don't have to put in butane while they're smoking. And I really, I just try to work on projects as well as taking care of the house and educating the baby all at the same time. I really feel like you can incorporate it all together. You don't have to make a big stink about sit down in front of a textbook. You know, and then she was just a little tiny infant. But John's
you're raising an adult. We really embrace this with our grandchildren. We get them 2 days a week, 2.5 days, you know, like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then part of Thursday. And we really do exactly the same things. Donna goes out, they feed the goats, they feed the chickens, they tend the garden, they understand it. We treat them like adults. And when you do that, guess what happens? They turn into adults.
Yes, and you know who the biggest inspiration for us was? The Ward family, Tracy and Chris Ward in Kansas City, Missouri. There's pink-haired Tracy who ran for city council. She has 2 daughters that are becoming adults. You know, they're 12 and 13. They run their own business. They make their own hair products. They have them in consignment shops in Kansas City right now. And Tracy really was an inspiration to me. She showed me how to do it right. You treat your children as adults. And instead of looking up to adults and looking at them as authority figures, they look them in the eye, they think of them as peers, and they're able to communicate on a level that most college students are not able to. So watching Claire and Madison grow up, being treated as adults, and given opportunities to be grown-up adults and to start their own businesses at very young ages, that was inspirational for me. And, you know, we asked and Chris to be Aliana's godparents because we really feel when we looked around at our peers who did a job of raising children in a way that we would like our daughter raised. And Tracy and Chris, there was not one thing we could think of that we would have done differently. And so we're trying to walk in their footsteps and set examples for other people just like they did for us. You know, I don't think I would have even thought to look for a midwife if I didn't know already that Tracy had gone that route. Tracy had home birth, you know, 13, 12 years ago, and that was really inspirational for me. And so I'm trying to take that and apply it in our lives so that our daughter can be self-sufficient, so she doesn't feel like she has to go work for a big corporation, so she can do what she enjoys. Because that's something I think that was robbed from my generation is, you know, there's this idea that you have to go get a job, you have to go be an accountant or go do something that makes money, and you're not allowed to do what you enjoy. And I think the opposite is what reality is based on. When you do what you enjoy and be creative, you can flourish, you can make money doing anything as long as you love doing it and you can dedicate your time and energy to it.
Well, what's your master's in? What are you studying?
I'm working on my MPA in nonprofit leadership and crisis and disaster management. So I'm in my last class right now, my capstone class, and it's a study of the Constitution. So it's awesome. I get to tear it apart.
Yeah, D+. You know, I remember Arizona State University, first philosophy class. They're doing it's a long story, but the bottom line was I thought I was smart, had it down, given this before I even heard the word libertarian, doing all this D+. I'm like, Why? Well, you can't. I'm like, oh, I get it. It's not the structure of it. It's indoctrination. I get it. You know, I could see what colleges were. Is it that bad now? Are they pretty much embracing your criticisms, or you're punished for them?
Well, since I'm in my master's degree, they do allow a lot more creative thinking than during my undergrad. I did take about a 4-year break because of the Ron Paul campaign. I dropped out of school and I focused on Ron Paul. And I've kind of evolved past that, so I have a lot of life experience. I think my teachers really respected it. The class I'm in right now, I've had this professor before, and it was during the beginning of my Ron Paul activism in 2007. And so I think he can really see the difference, and I think he can appreciate the things that I've learned and the changed perspective. But I would say, overall, most academic institutions are indoctrination institutions.
Yeah, usually. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the activists that are kind of consolidated around a lot of your inspiration, around the bookstore, around the retail outlet there, and so on. Tell me about that a little bit.
Well, the bookstore is basically the central hub in Austin for activists, everything activism. There is a huge, anarchist, agorist contingency. There's also a very political contingency, whether it's the Ron Paul types, or just the general conservatives, or libertarians, or even your lefty activists. But there's an outlet for anybody who wants to be involved there. And the bookstore provides not only information and knowledge, but things that you can use on a day-to-day basis in your life, whether it's, homemade deodorant made from colloidal silver, or it's toothpaste or soap, or, just things that you need in your life. You can go to the bookstore and you can pay for it in silver, which is something that I think is hard to find in other communities. You also have a family there. You can go and talk about the struggles of the world, and the things that you're learning. It's a great place for people to come and have community. And, like last night we just had a debate watch party, and we had Aliana there, and, there were over 100 people, and it was a lot of fun, and it's an absolute blessing in my life to have that community and that place where, not only do you have like-minded people, but we're leading by example, showing people you don't need to register to vote. You can do this on your own with silver and other currencies.
I'm so glad you guys are there, and you are an enormous inspiration to me. And we always knew, is like we had last hour L. Neil Smith on, and what an inspiration he was to our generation of activists. 20 years ago, we were you. And then you're having family. You know what? We're going to breed the status out. You can't have children in this terrible world. That's why you have children. It's just attrition. We're just waiting for all the bad guys to die off, and they are getting older. Yeah, they're looking pretty beaked. Well, here we come. And thanks to people like John Bush and Catherine Bleish, this is going to be an interesting next few years. And I want to make sure you guys understand that, we're not going away.
Free Talk Live.
That's it. Here, take it's Morpheus. See what he wants. Yeah, I hope you guys can take the time to participate in the next magazine too, because I think this one's going to be another really good one.
We'll try to get started earlier this time, because we want to every single time. We're just so slammed. But maybe if we start, halfway through the month instead of the last day.
Well, it's you guys did a good job. It's war. What's it good for? I mean, it's kind of just going to be an anti-war thing, because I know that's coming. And then in March, I think we may. There were some ideas I had. I can't remember what they were. But did you see the January cover?
Yeah, it was great.
Awesome! You look above the doorway. It's Widget Sagini, and that's the acronym for "We're going to space and government's not invited."
Nice.
And it's just that ship. The wings will kind of flare up like a bird coming in for a landing with thrusters on the wingtips. So in no atmosphere, it can do all kinds of acrobatics and do some ass whipping when it comes down to it. Know what I mean? So this is, and with the way the talons are, it can land, on cliffs and all that kind of stuff, and we're just going to be real